Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, also published on Rumble, on the blogger site as an archive post thingy, on Patreon for extra support, and I go about on Twitter X from some updates here and there. Yesterday I didn't manage to get around in doing a live stream, but I did manage to publish the VOD from the last live stream that I did. Again, live stream scheduling is hard to commit to a proper one, mainly because of how things work out for me in terms of working schedule, being given that I'm a freelancer, and then again I don't have like a fixed schedule of work. But yeah, and even sometimes when I do live streams, sometimes I get some calls to do some jobs here and there. And I have to interrupt them. But yeah, I will try my best. Again, for that I always advise people to follow me up on Twitter, because when I go live, I announce there with some like at least 5 minutes before I start the proper stream. Yeah, and today we're going to get another episode from Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and then tomorrow Mutant Year Zero. I think that's it regarding the channel. Yeah, let's go to the news. Similarly, AMD is continuing to put those GPUs on a sale here. This time is the 7700 XT GPUs. They are below $400. A bunch of the models from ASRock's Power Color and Sapphire. Yeah, got Challenger, the Power Color Hellbound, and the Sapphire Pulse usually are the better ones in terms of performance of AIB models. Again, this is a even more cut down 7800 XT. It has only 12 gigabytes of VRAM. And yeah, it's a little bit more cut down, and usually it doesn't compensate the price differences. Regarding the comparatively to the 7800 XT. But if they continue to drop down, I don't know, maybe the best option should be around 350 for this GPU. It supposedly performs around the same between the 4060 Ti and the 4070, the super variant, supposedly around that, give or take. And given that I think the 4060 Ti models are 600, the 40, I think it's around 400 and something, if not mistaken. If not mistaken, yeah, the 4060 Ti. They don't put it here. Yeah, 4060 Ti. There is the 8GB version, then there is the 16GB, which is I think $500. But for that you have a 7800 XT, which demolishes that GPU. Yeah, again, it's a good opportunity if you're going around the 400 mark. The NVIDIA counterparts almost offer, but I think the 4070 is around, supposedly aiming for $500 plus dollars in terms of prices. I don't see much in terms of competing in terms of price. Maybe the 4060 Ti, but the 4060 Ti at this price point usually only has 8GB. And at this price point, again, I don't think it compensates for you to take a chance of trying to get ray tracing performance out of it. You will not get good results there. And again, the upscaling technology, I don't know. Intel X ESS is supposedly on par with the LSS 3.7. We just need to wait, I think, a little bit, a month or so, for the FSR 3.1, which provides an update on the upscaling technology, and then it will introduce the fake frame rates in a different way, so you don't need the FSR to be running for the fake frame rates there. It's like you can toggle a different option there, I think, from what I understood there. But yeah, this is not a bad price per se. In terms of even from previous generations, I don't maybe if you get at the same price point, but I don't think the stocks are lasting there. I think the 6800 or the 6800 XT was around this $400 price. If you find around that price point a 6800 XT, I think it's a better choice. It has more performance and it has more even more VRAM there. But yeah, it's what we got given the conditions of the market there. But yeah, AMD is being a little bit aggressive on the price, which is good for us. And yeah, they can at this level they can compete very well with other counterparts, especially Nvidia. Intel is still on the 300 and below with a Arc A770 16 gigabytes. I think it's the top tier that they have, not mistaken, on the top of my head. And I think that goes around 350 or something like that. But yeah, it's not worth that much. But yeah, at this price point, I think it's not a bad option. Or even from last gen, I think 6800 non-XT or the XT version. If you find either of those around this price point, I think it's a better option than the 7700 XT. Yeah, this is what I got in terms of hardware. Gaming, we got finally Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut PC requirements revealed. They support PlayStation overlay. Again, I don't know what that is. Trophies and settings. Okay. This is come from Nixes. Usually they are pretty solid on the ports they do. The last one was from them was Forbidden West. Yeah, Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West. It was a solid one, but they in 2 weeks they already patched up a lot of stuff. Hopefully we don't get a lot of those small nitpicks here. In terms of porting, hopefully it's more streamlined. Again, interestingly enough, very low 70p 30 frames per second. It's very old system requirements. I think it's pretty good in terms of how they managed to, at least given the table that they provide us, settings and hardware to use those settings. For example, we got supposedly for very high, which is 4K 60. You got Ryzen 5 5600 or an i5 11400, and for around that you get or a 4080 or a 7900 XT, where I think it's more dependent on VRAM usage, because it's a huge discrepancy in terms of performance between these two GPUs. So I assume it's mainly to have like a good buffer of VRAM there, because the XT variant has 20 gigabytes while the 4080 only has 16. I think even probably 4070 Ti Super might be handle this game at 4K 60. But yeah, 75 gigabytes of SSD, 16 gigabytes of memory RAM. Yeah, I think it's not a bad option. Even in 4040p, around 60 or 4K 30, around that price point, around that performance, you can get away with a 4070 or a 6800 non-XT variant. I am more about 1440p 60. 4K 30, yeah, the resolution there might be a little bit for the GPUs there, but I'm not sure. Yeah, 4070, I'm not sure if you can handle 4K 30 on this game. Not even a 4070 Ti. But yeah, it's what we got at this moment. And I think it seems pretty good. They usually do good out of the gate ports here from Nixes. And of course, usually they put everything, the support ultra-wide monitors, triple monitor setup, the DLSS, FSR, and upscaling from Intel. I assume a lot of like support for mouse and keyboard and all that jazz should be pretty good enough. But again, at least we got an idea of the requirements. I think everybody will be able to play this at least at 1080. Given the how old the hardware here is on the table there in terms of minimum requirements there to play at 1080 60 frames per second. I think it's a good entry point there. Yeah, again, always wait for a review. In terms of port reviews, in terms of performance. Usually Digital Foundry is pretty good on that, but then again, always with your trust your independent game reviewers for these kind of things here. Yeah, and also from No Rest for the Wicked, we got also some PC requirements. Again, a little bit all over the place here, given that they aiming for 1080p 30 frames and 1080p 60 frames. There is a huge disparity there, but I think it's more about the graphic settings. I think here on quality they push a little bit more in terms of the graphic fidelity there. That's why you have a discrepancy between a 9070 and a 3070 Ti, which is huge difference, and not to talk about the AMD counterpart there. Again, this is a game that is going to launch in early access, and of course I am assuming throughout the early access period they will optimize, and in the final version of the game there will not be this huge discrepancy or even high demands for a 6800 XT for 1080p 60. That's my assumption. And even for CPUs, the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D, it's a lot for 1080p 60. Yeah, or the equivalent in terms of performance, which is my CPU, which is the 7700X, usually performs at the same level that the 5800X 3D. But yeah, the rest is very doesn't occupy very much disk space. Again, the RAM is around 16 gigabytes. But yeah, again, in terms of early access, if you're willing to support that, one of the things, the developer said that there will not be any microtransactions, which is always a good news, and they will the game will be playable entirely offline, and the single player mode won't feature any anti-cheat software, which is usually something that can deteriorate the performance. The anti-cheat software, especially the novel stuff, and especially what they're going to try to introduce there, which is with leak stuff. If it is embedded on the software itself, I don't know how that will perform, degrade the performance of a game there. But yeah, the game is going to launch in early access around $30, give or take. The full, I assume, when it comes for a full game price, will be around 60 to 70. At least that's my perception. But yeah, if you're willing to support this on early access and deal with the pains that usually early access has, even though I think this game might be already in a good shape for them to just mainly fine-tune a lot of the gameplay mechanics and all that jazz. What it includes is the first chapter, basically, of the narrative campaign, additional quests that reveal more about the world, intense boss battles, a variety of weapons. Everything would be added up more, of course. Gear can be upgraded by searching for refurbishing modifiable home. It's interesting that it has like a Souls-like kind of a gameplay there, but you got a home base that you can upgrade there, which is interesting, and daily, weekly bounties, and replayable Karim Crucible Dungeon. Okay, I don't know what that is, but yeah, eventually it will support four-player co-op, PvP, and of course more weapons, new regions, new bosses and enemies, and all that jazz. But yeah, seems to be shaping up to be a great game. We'll have to wait and see how it goes with early access and how they take the feedback from the players there. And lastly, we got Hades 2. The developers did a 3-hour live stream. In those 3 hours they did around 7 runs, which is okay, I guess. There's 3 hours, 7 runs. It's not that much because you got the intro and the stuff. I think around 245, 7 runs. I think it's a good decent amount of gameplay for you to have an idea. Again, this is going to be basically in the same vein that Hades 1 was, but now I think this is sister from the first, from the protagonist of the first game. But yeah, aside from showing gameplay, the video provides a glimpse of game background art and the characters and all that jazz. Yeah, we don't have like a full release date for the full game, because they are going to plan and launch the game in early access before July. But yeah, we don't have like a fixed dates there to have an idea. And again, they didn't even put a year on the launch of the full version of the game, which is it's a shame. But yeah, I still have time to play at least the first one when I can. But yeah, it seems the first one seems to be an excellent one, roguelike kind of a game, and especially not only the combat, but the story there in the background and the characters themselves, and how the story incorporates itself on the roguelike kind of mechanic there. I think it's pretty well done from what I've been seeing. But yeah, this is what I got for you today in terms of news. In terms of deals, we still have plenty of those. We've got Wolfenstein Alternative History Collection, again 84% off on the bundle there. It's like the mainline games from Wolfenstein. We got BioShock, the collection, so the free games plus all the DLC associated with it, around 80% off. We got Batman Arkham Collection, so around 85% off all the games, including Arkham Knight and the DLC associated with it. And the first two, it's the Game of the Year editions. We got also Doom and Doom Eternal, so Doom is 80% off and Doom Eternal 60%, or if you want to go for the Ancient Gods kind of a thing there, I think it's Deluxe Edition, which is 67% off. And on you got also the Resident Evil games. They are on sale until basically till the end of the month. I will leave the list of all the Resident Evil games there, and you can pick and choose for your liking. And on GOG, we got Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut, 85% off. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, 85% off. Again, this is the Digital Deluxe, which has all the DLC associated with it. And then we got Void Bastards, 70% off. Again, this is a recommendation for me. If you like roguelike games, this is a first-person shooter kind of a thing there. It's pretty good. I did a gameplay series on this one. I'm not sure. I think I took a little bit more time than 8.5 there. But yeah, you got side quests there also. Yeah, you have a lot of game to play if you want to go about and do everything that the game has to offer there. I did mainly the story thing. I don't like to get bogged down too much on the same game after completing the main story. But still, it was very comprehensive of how I went about it there. But yeah, it's a recommendation from me, especially at this price point. And yeah, basically this is what I got for you today, guys. We'll wrap up with a plan on my Patreon as usual. The Patreon at this moment in time is more for supporting me to have a storage solution, for me to get backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and of course extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.